Welcome to the ReTribalize podcast, episode number 3. Today, we're diving into the taboo subject of why culture starts at boundaries, at vetting, at creating a clear distinction of what makes us, us. Now, this may sound like ethnocentric propaganda. It's not. Hear me out. This idea of how culture starts at boundaries is actually really common sense. If you were building a business or, let's say, an intentional community, you would not want to go import all the homeless people in your city into that space. It would destroy the special something that you're building there. It would destroy the team you're building in your business. If you're building a business, you have a very clear vetting process for who you hire. Just like if you're building a relationship or you want to build a family, you have a very clear vetting process for who you want to marry, right? We always are discerning and excluding people constantly. It's just in a modern world, we don't like to admit this to ourselves or admit this to society because being super inclusive gets you status points. It's like virtue signaling how inclusive you are. When in reality, in every community we have, we want to keep it sacred. We want to keep it special by vetting who comes into it and how they assimilate into that community. This is best seen in so many examples across history. For instance, the Osho community, the Osho cult of the 1980s, Rajneesh, they basically imported all of the homeless people around the country to help them win a vote in the county they were living in, Antelope County or whatever. And all of these homeless people coming in and basically freeloading off the original Rajneesh community without really assimilating into their culture, it destroyed the community. It destroyed the special something they were building there. Now, I don't want to extrapolate this to geopolitics because obviously this is happening on a mass scale right now. But founders and people who are looking to build teams, who are looking to build intentional communities, who are looking to build culture, that's what this whole entire podcast is dedicated to. You need to think about boundaries and a vetting process and how you allow people to come join you. I very much believe in radical exclusion before radical inclusion. I believe in both. And radical inclusion, again, is very popular sentiment in the modern world. Include everyone. And it's beautiful, but I think only include everyone once they make it through the vetting process. It's like if they get invited to the party, right? Then yes, absolutely. Lead with kindness, lead with unconditional love and compassion for everyone at the house party. But there still needs to be a door to, let's say, like, the, I don't want to use like language like undesirable people, but we're just being real here. Like you don't want the addicts on the street coming into that house party. It kind of changed the vibe a bit. So radical exclusion. One of the best examples of this dichotomy and this balancing point is actually Burning Man. So Burning Man is a festival in America with a very unique culture and ethos. And that ethos is centered around radical inclusion. So Burning Man is like include everyone, love everyone, accept everyone. And it's beautiful. But the thing that they don't say about Burning Man is that to get to Burning Man, you must be willing to go through hell. It's 110-degree days on a desert plain, a sand plain, the playa, right, with no infrastructure, no amenities. It's very hard to get there. And you're basically just like, there's a massive barrier to entry to get to Burning Man itself. It costs a lot of money. There's a lot of exposure. It's a lot of pain, blood, sweat, and tears to get there. If they put Burning Man outside of Miami, a lot of people who aren't already bought in would join, and it would dilute Burning Man more than it already has been diluted. The fact that Burning Man has such radical exclusion to the whole world, because to get to Burning Man takes a lot of effort, right? It makes it special. And this is what a lot of people don't want to admit about awesome towns, awesome cities, awesome communities is the higher the barrier to entry, the more buy-in you have to have and the more vetted people are, the better the outcome is going to be. And this is the idea of the original aristocratic fraternity, right? So you can think about Freemasonry, secret societies like the Royal Society, most esoteric societies, as well as, like the founding fathers of America. The idea of fraternity, of aristocratic brotherhood, is literally woven so deep into the history of civilization, especially Western civilization. I would say a lot of these secret societies are responsible for almost everything we see in the modern world. And they had this vast principle of radical exclusion. Like, for instance, to join a fraternity in a university, you had to be accepted into the university. So you had to demonstrate academic, excellence and intelligence and discipline, right? And then you had to be accepted into the fraternity, meaning that you had to go through their initiation rites. You also had to vibe with the founders or the leaders of the fraternity. Like, there was this principle of radical exclusion, and it's why fraternities, especially in the 1900s, like back in the day, they had this really special quality to them because it really filtered like-minded men. Now, of course, not everyone's always going to get along, but there is a principle of like, you need a pretty clear vetting process. Now, how that works in real life. So I run the Men's Academy, an online men's community, and I do exclude people very regularly from it. For one, I exclude all women. I want it to be a fraternity. And it's not because I hate women. I freaking love women. And I think women are so important for the radical inclusion aspect of life. It's like, once people join a community, that's where the feminine thrives, the radical inclusion of everything, right? But so I exclude women because I want to build a brotherhood. I want to build a fraternity. But also, I exclude people by making people apply, right? So you have to apply through the link in the description if you want to join the Men's Academy. And there's a lot of calls where I don't invite people in, right? If they don't pass my filter, they don't come join our community. And also, to join our community, there's an investment. Like, you have to invest. You have to have some skin in the game to actually join, so that people are actually creating deeper bonds, and have some skin in the game. It's very important to be bought into any community, or else it just creates transient energy. Again, culture starts at boundaries. There needs to be some buy-in, or else everyone just becomes transient, and there's a lack of, this is who we are, that is where we are going, and we love and support each other along the way. If you don't have that, you don't actually have an ethnos, you don't have a culture, you don't have a community, you don't have anything. So there's buy-in, and then also I kick people out if they break our rules. This seems really basic. Again, most of the things I'm going to teach on this channel are freaking common sense, but we don't have any common sense anymore. And if you are a community leader, I encourage you to have two very clear systems that I'm trying to develop and implement myself. A very clear system for how to remove someone from a group. This is hard because once someone does join a group, I've had this before in real life brotherhood circles in my life, where I had this awesome group, and I invited someone in who I thought was awesome, but they actually didn't quite match our culture, didn't match our community. And have you ever had the experience where you have a great group of friends, but then you invite that one person who just changes the entire dynamic, the entire vibe? And actually just inviting the wrong person into your group, it can make the group disintegrate. And I had this experience, but I didn't have a process of, how do I remove someone, right? And this is better to have a system, because then it's not you being a tyrant. If you have a community, let's say you have a Muay Thai community in Thailand, shout out to Leon. If you have a community, you need a pretty clear vetting process for how do you bring in a new member? How do you bring in a new leader, right? How do you bring in a teacher? And how do you remove one? And have that system written into the constitution of your community, so that for me in the Men's Academy, if someone breaks our code of conduct, I can just remove them and cite that. It's not me doing anything. They broke the rules, right? So you need that, because you're gonna get some bad eggs. It's just the process of life, and I would love anyone to comment below their process of removing someone who does, not really align with the mission and the vision and the values of the group. So this idea of radical exclusion to radical inclusion, you need both, okay? I think I made this clear, but you need boundaries between yourself and the rest of the world. This is again, like in our multiculturalist, Western world right now, we think that we can just be everything, but it's bullshit. In the sense of, let's say you had a nomadic, Germanic, barbarian tribe, right? And then you imported a bunch of Japanese people, Chinese people, Indonesians, and Nigerians into that tribe and just mixed them all together. Not only would the Germanic roots and culture go away, but all the other cultures would also slowly go away, and you would basically just create what we have in the West, which is just McDonald's and shopping malls, and there's no collective real culture. Culture starts in the sense of, this is who we are, that's where we're going, and this is what we believe in. And it takes some egotism here. A lot of people don't want to actually claim something. We want to be just so open to every religion and every walk of life. And it's beautiful, but this is why I believe in many decentralized tribes. It's like, no, stand for what you believe in. Stand for your core values. Like, stand for who you are and where you're going, because you're going to attract people to that banner. When you try to be too inclusive to everyone, it dilutes your own original message and the power of the group. And this is why I'm starting this channel, for instance, is instead of like speaking to everyone on my main YouTube channel, like everyone in the philosophy and personal development space, I want to speak to leaders who share my values, who are building communities, who are building cool cultures around the world. It's like, speak to your people and hold the banner of who you are. I think a lot of people are too scared to speak boldly about what they believe in and who they are and what kind of group they have, because they're scared of getting called bad names or something, or scared of excluding people from their potential market or whatever. It's total bullshit, my friends. No one's gonna, if no one hates you, no one's gonna love you. And this channel is obviously gonna create some enemies, but I bet you watching this right now, you love what I'm talking about, because no one else is talking like this in this space, really. So yeah, my friends, don't be scared to exclude people from your business, from your tribe, from your community. Don't be scared. Actually do it. Put some systems in place. And this gets into a deeper conversation that I just want to start in this podcast. And that is the duty to the whole versus the duty to the self. This is another dichotomy that we're struggling with in the modern world. I just went on I was co-working with this girl I went on a few dates with once. And this girl's a radical feminist. And, I'm all for women and women's rights, and I'm a big supporter of women in general, but I find feminism to be selfish. In the sense of, I asked her, I was like, do you think you and women have any responsibility to having kids? And she said no. And I was like, well, if the birth rate is beneath 2.1, you do know our civilization and society will crumble. And if the birth rate is beneath 2.1 in any community, that community will go extinct. Like, everything your ancestors built and fought for will go away. And I'm all for women making their own decisions, men making their own decisions, and that's individualism, which is cool, but individualism needs to be balanced by collective duty, by a collective buy-in, by saying, actually, I have a duty to my family, to my tribe, to our culture. And I have a duty to nourish it, protect it, just like men have duty to their family and to their culture. So do women. This idea of duty to something bigger than ourselves has gone away. And this is very obvious to our grandparents and our great-grandparents. And in fact, I wouldn't have to have this conversation with any other generation almost ever, because the idea of duty to their tribe has always been forefront in the consciousness. Like Hector standing at the gates of Troy, I've lived my entire life by a code. And that code is to love the gods, love my woman, and protect my city, or something like that. And you notice there was no part of that code that was to serve myself. That's ludicrous. But this is modernity. This is what we got going on here. So I think there's a balance. There's a balance of each individual is different, and each individual has a unique life path. And I absolutely believe in bringing forth each individual's authenticity. I believe in individualism, but I also believe in duty to a whole. This is the dichotomy. It's the same dichotomy as you need radical exclusion before radical inclusion. You need duty to the whole before duty to self, right? So you need the balance here, and we're not good with this balance in modernity at all. So this leads us to the metaphysics of deep religion. This is a very interesting conversation we're about to get into here. Maybe I'll save that for the next podcast. I'll see you over there. My name is Christian. If you want to talk to me one-on-one and join our men's community, or just discuss with me the community you're building, there is a link below to talk to me about it one-on-one. And make sure to subscribe to our Substack, the ReTribalize podcast, or subscribe on wherever you watch your podcasts. Peace.